Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Horde of Cold Peeps. That name is so dumb. I say this every time, but it's not the best name. Anyway, this is our Frosty DLC run in the base game. We've been basically hopping from one emergency to the other. So we've kind of stabilized on our oxygen for now, like was the problem in the last video. We've got a lot to do in this one, though. And let me go over the rules. Well, someone's suffocating, so that's wonderful. Hassan, get out of there. Come on. Thank you. Got a lot of stuff to do here. I guess we'll just hope that nobody suffocates in the meantime, because I don't really have the capacity to watch them and go through the rules. Well, I guess I'll just throw up the rules and I will keep track of it in the background. The rules here is that we must play on the Frosty Planet DLC. We are playing in the base game. We must get every single achievement that's possible. And we need to take every single duplicate on offer until we have 100. And really, this is not listed in the rules, but losing a duplicate, I think, is worthy of losing a run. So, got to keep all these duplicates alive, because killing off duplicates is very easy, and I don't know. I feel bad. So, yeah, don't want to do that. Alright, let's talk about what we should be doing in this one. So the last one was like the video of broken promises, I guess. I was saying that we were going to capture our water, so there's 2 geysers right here that we could take advantage of. And we will, but there were so many other pressing things going on that I needed to divert attention. We're going to do it in this one, but I need to get rid of all this water first. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is just start pumping all this out so we can clear this, and I will seal up this water geyser and we will unpack it later. I really want to continue making progress toward the bottom, mostly because we can start seeing these new buildings, these geovents. And there's a few of them around. There's also some other weird stuff here that we could probably take a look at. I think they might just be like things you deconstruct, but yeah, we need to figure out what's going on with this, because that's one of our achievements, but we need to be able to hit the bottom and do it safely first. So that'll be something that's on the docket. I did talk a lot about getting out on the surface and taking care of that, but I needed like all hands on deck for the emergency that we're having, so I might just have my duplicates up here, just get to work while we're doing some other stuff. So it's really just going to be like, well, I guess I shouldn't build it that high. Probably better if I build them like 3 high, so 1, 2, 3 spaces, and then the ladder, so that we can delete them more easily. So I'll have the duplicates up here, just be digging out a lot of this, because I want to get this started sooner rather than later. This is also going to drop some nectar for some of these trees that are already filled up. So that'll help us get a jump on our cooling, but we need cooling, we need extra power, we need all kinds of stuff in this video. I don't know exactly where we're going to wind up, so I want to keep things moving, but the first thing that I want to address is this. We have collected a lot of mercury, and there's still a lot left. And like I talked about in the spaced out version of this run, you can hook this up in a way that will let you generate a lot of power by just consuming this mercury. And the way we do that is it in here, utilities? Maybe I don't have it researched yet. Let me check. Mercury. Do we have this? Where is it? No, we don't have it yet. So let me get the research for that. I also need to set up a water drop for our research station, because it hasn't been spinning for a little while since I don't have any way for them to get water. So I guess we'll just set up a water drop like here. Sure. And then it will need a pitcher pump, and we can cancel this and move it over 1. Who's suffocating? Stop suffocating! How dare you! Alright, so I'm just going to get the research for those mercury lights, and we will get those mercury lights hooked up as soon as we have it. Mass emergencies going on here, but we'll start pumping out this water as well. We'll get a lot of this stuff cleaned up so we can start doing some more fun stuff later. Okay, like what typically happens for some reason, I guess because we have so many duplicates, we are going to have to change course again because our food situation is just terrible right now. I've been paused for a little bit, going around the map trying to figure out what's going on. So for one, the body temperature of these has been too high, so I need to start setting up another cooling system for this. So I did mine out a whole bunch of stuff here, and as soon as this shipping gets online, that will help that part out. That's only a minor part of it. I think another part was the fact that we started up so many more flocks. They're going to be eating all my pike apple bushes, obviously. But the flocks have not kicked in yet, and they've also deprived us of a lot of phlox eggs for the time being, so that probably hurt. Another thing is I forgot to fix our shipping for the raw shellfish. So I imagine that my duplicants were eating that rather than it being sent somewhere to be cooked, which has been a lot of wasted calories. I mean, the other baseline to this too is we're constantly taking duplicants, so that's going to be a increased tax. So I'm trying to figure out the quickest way to solve this because we don't have a lot of time before this starts becoming a problem. Let me look at these plume squash. They take 9 cycles. These only take 3, so I think I'm just going to spam out some more pike apples, which has just been the fallback for us for a little while. I'm also thinking, what other long-term adjustments are we going to need to make to our food? And I think one of them is going to have to be setting up some sleet wheat growth, which we now have running water. I'm trying to get the bathrooms fixed in here, by the way. That's what's going on, because I'm so low on dirt. Ugh, a lot of things are all coming down at the same time. So I think we will want some sleet wheat. Sorry, I'm counting in my head while I'm talking. The sleet wheat that we're going to want to get, I think we can start setting up, but that's also going to take a little while to pay out. But that is something we could set up probably somewhere over here. Again, the issue is we don't have a lot of cooling to keep this stuff cold for very long. But I guess we could just build it into the terrain here, which would be a little bit weird, but it's doable. Let me see if I can find a better place for this, because the issue that I have with sleet wheat is the water might freeze and cause more problems than it's worth. But I do think if I just put it like right here, and if I put it there in a set of tiles that just kind of sits on top of this really cold area, we could do something where we have water flowing into this, but we also have a way to disconnect from the, like, cold block here. So I think what we might do... let me get this ethanol out of the way first, actually. What we might do for the sleet wheat is we might put down a bunch of these mechanized airlocks, like this, and then those will connect up to the farm tiles, and we'll open and close those depending on if the farm tiles are getting too cold or not. Then we can just run our water from here straight down into those sleet wheat farms. The other thing we could do, let me check on nosh beans here, because how quickly can we get those up? The other problem with sleet wheat and nosh beans right now is it takes away from any harvest that we get. These are really slow, by the way, 21 cycles. So I think for right now, I just need to spam out our pike apple bushes and really go hard on them, because this is going to be a food emergency for a bit until everything restabilizes. But this is kind of what I get for not paying that close of attention. And this is one of those things where if we are abiding by the rules, where if we lose any duplicants, then that's game over. Our colony is under some serious threat right now. This is probably the most worried I've been throughout this whole playthrough. I hate this glitch, by the way. There's like some visual glitches of dragging over these farm tiles with this. It just like places them all over the place, even though I'm not holding the mouse down. So I think we're just going to need to spam out pike apple bushes. We could probably get some more plume squash plants going, because they only take 9 cycles, and that's not horrible. And I'm not sure how this is going to restabilize. It's just one of those situations where you kind of got to feel it out. So I will get all of these different food types going. The sleet wheat, I'm not sure if we're going to start up right away. Let me actually look at the growth time on these, because I don't know it off the top of my head. 18 cycles. Yeah, I probably shouldn't do that right now, but we can at least get ready for it once this stabilizes again. If we really need to, we can start cracking a bunch of the extra phlox eggs that we have. That should help out a little bit. There's a couple other things we could do. There's like some Bamas down here that are wild. Wait, what? Oh, it must have just grown up. That's why it doesn't have its scales. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. So there is some like meat and stuff down here we could go grab that might be a little bit of a help. We might just need to scrounge for a little bit here until we get ourselves stabilized again. But yeah, lots of things kind of going off the rails at the same time. So I'm going to get our cooling up. Let me keep this going. I'm going to get our cooling up by virtue of sending in all of this very cold ice and just having it circulate around the base a little bit. We don't have our industrial strength cooling yet, which is what we're waiting on. Let's see, what else could we possibly do? I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we could pull out on the map. I guess getting to some of these other things, maybe getting into... We could kill some of these puffs. That's not very helpful right now. Yeah, this is a little dire. I'll keep up on this, and we'll update in a couple cycles after I get this all restabilized, but this will be an interesting little period. I am quite worried that we will not survive it, so I guess we'll just hope for the best, and we'll try to fix it with all these different types of foods that we're planting, and go from there. Okay, now that we are out of the hot water, we do have at least some food coming in, and we've sort of restabilized. Most of this is from the meat from the mammoths that I killed down here. So this number is a little fake right now, but at least we're not on the verge of dying. So I think we're good for right now. Let's continue on with where we started this whole thing, which was trying to get solar panels up and our Mercury lights up. First, we need to be able to make glass, which we're not doing right now. So let's get that set up. So up here in this section of the colony, I'm just going to create a couple of glass forges, and the place that I will have my glass cooled down, because it comes out at ridiculously high temperatures, is just over here, because there's a lot of like cold energy, I guess entropy, whatever you want to call it, sitting over in these tiles. So I will just route the glass over here and have it start to exchange its temperatures with this ice and all this stuff. So it'll cool down, then my duplicants can use it to build stuff. The only weird thing is that if we have it travel too far, I'm nervous it will change states in the pipe and break. So I might not go all the way in as far as I was scrolling over there, but I think we need to route the glass somewhere over here. I guess... Yeah, I guess anywhere in here is fine. We don't need to make a lot, because our power that is being generated from our oxygen setups is actually doing pretty well. So we're constantly at a pretty high amount of hydrogen back there, and I did delete all of the power generators that were in this colony, because I want them to continue to work out here and make progress getting up to the surface, which we've been talking about for a long time, but have just been derailed constantly. The other concern that I have right now is this. A lot of duplicants are going to be peeing their pants, which is always a concern. But the problem with that, and the reason why, is we're starting to run out of dirt. These flocks are not putting out quite enough to justify all these outhouses still running this way. So I'm probably going to start up a new bathroom setup for the bottom colony. And I think I'm probably just going to do it right here, because we can transform this little area into a nature reserve, so our duplicants have to pass through it in order to get to the bathroom. So I'll probably put them, I don't know, maybe up here somewhere, so they have to pass through, like they'll pass through a very tall nature reserve in order to get into the bathrooms. But the water won't be sitting close enough to any of our food, except for maybe this, to start being a real threat. But yeah, this is going to become a problem all over the base if we don't take care of it. So I'm going to get on those two things, the glass forge and the bathrooms for the middle colony. So the glass forge is just going to sit... Where is it? Here we go. So these two are just going to sit right here, and then we will route all the glass that they make over to those areas to just kind of drop them off and have them sit and exchange their temperature with all the surrounding tiles. So let's get that done, let's get our bathrooms built, and then we'll start working on the solar panel and Mercury light setups. By the way, as we get our bathroom like bunker set up here, This is just hilarious to me how many duplicants will come over and help when you need something done. Just tons of duplicants all doing different things. You can build like an entire section of the base in like half a cycle or something like that. This is just really funny to me. But I'm still going to continue on with the bathrooms here. I'm going to make it multi-level. This is going to be like a bathroom super complex. It'll be pretty impressive when it's all done, although I don't know how much you'll want to have somebody using a toilet that's right above you, but whatever. We'll get there. Alright, here you go. I call this Flushing Meadows. Hopefully somebody got that reference, but this is our new bathroom setup. And I'm still going to keep a few outhouses because we still do need to produce polluted dirt, but at least everybody will be able to wash their hands when they leave. So there you go. Thanks. We've got that going. We also have our glass forges going, which are just going to be dumping out molten glass over here, and it will be cooling over time. Not sure what kind of damage this is going to do to the surrounding area, but I think we should be fine. Eventually we will cool this ourselves, but I want to get to a point where we're generating enough power to be able to handle all the things that we want here, because we're going to want aqua tuners, we're going to want all kinds of stuff that's extremely expensive. So I want to make sure that we don't like outprice ourselves. So once we get enough glass, we'll start the setups down here and we'll start the Mercury lights. And as soon as we get a couple of those, then we will start on the aqua tuner setup and we will get some real cooling going on instead of just cobbling stuff together depending on whatever we mine out. Hey, there's another duplicant. Oh, 2 more seconds. There we go. Let's see. Yeah, Turner's looking pretty good. Yeah, okay, Turner. Cool. So, I'm just gonna wait for the glass forge to finish up. We could start planning out our cooling setup right now. I might have it... I'm trying to figure out exactly where to put it. Because I do need it a little bit more centralized to keep all this stuff cool. That's one of the big concerns. But I also need it for up here. So I might actually make a couple. We might make one inside here, and we might make one outside. Yeah, let me at least start planning out the outside one, because I need to keep these duplicants busy. Oh, also, we need to set up our Sleet farm. So this is going to be pretty straightforward. We don't have a lot of clay, honestly, so I don't think I'm going to use the ceramic pipes, even though I really wanted to. But the setup for the Sleet wheat, we have a bunch in excess right now, and our food situation's at least a little bit better. So I'm just going to set it up so that the hydroponic farm tiles are connected to these doors, which then touch this very cold stuff down here. I know the air will also be cold enough, and this will mostly be open anyway. You really want this to be like airtight, so we could do something like putting a couple tiles on the side here, which should help out quite a bit, because then we'll create a vacuum on the inside that won't impart too much more energy into this. So yeah, let's do that. I guess we'll cut off this movement path, but I don't really care that much. And then the Sleet wheat's going to be planted in here. We'll just use some igneous rock pipes to come down here and fill these up. It will also take dirt, which is kind of unfortunate because we're having a hard time with that anyway. So if this becomes too much of a tax, we'll probably have to find another way to do this, or another way to start manufacturing dirt. But I do think our flocks are going to start kicking in soon, and we don't actually produce, or need to produce, that much more polluted dirt. So this is going to last us a long time. So I guess we'll see where the dirt stands at this point. The only consumers of this are going to be these 3 outhouses. They're the only 3 left on the map. And if we're doing any research, it'll consume a little bit of dirt. So I think that should be fine. Let's see how this goes. But if this is ever below, like, I don't know, -5, then we'll want to open the doors. So if it's ever warmer than that, we're going to close the doors and get all the cooling or entropy or whatever we want to call it out of all this stuff that is way colder than that. So I'll plant all of our Sleet wheat, and we will hopefully get a little bit more stabilized and be ready to take these last 23 duplicates. But let's get more glass, let's get all that stuff set up. We'll come back when we're ready to set up the solar panels. Okay, we have enough glass for 5 solar panels. Let's get those built. Yeah, whatever. We'll make this a little bit more optimized later, but all we really need is enough to get down so that we can... Well, I should probably build these tiles first. Jeez, this is really not going very smoothly, but we just need these 5 solar panels, and on each one of them, we're going to put 2 of these new Mercury lights. I forget where they are. Are they in furniture? I know, I'll check it in a bit. Yeah, it is in furniture. That's a weird place to put it. Look at my nice furniture Mercury ceiling light. So every single panel, I'm going to put 2 of them, because that was the full power amount. And then for each of them, we're just going to run some Mercury down here. So I'll delete these bins. And I'm trying to figure out if I want to put it on one side or the other. I guess I'll put a ladder on this side so that it's still easy for them to access. But typically, if it's not something my duplicants are going to be doing a lot, then I will put it further away from where they would typically enter. So I'll put the pump over here. Let's get this duplicant so we can move on. Let's see. Frankie's looking quite good. Yeah, let's take Frankie. There we go. 78. Man, we are really getting up there. Alright, so I will build out the rest of this. The other thing that we need to do is start running the Mercury into these lamps. I'm not sure how many we'll be able to run without, like, burning down all the Mercury we have. Obviously, this is a finite resource unless we find a geyser or something that I don't know about. So we will eventually run out. This is just temporary so that we have a bunch of free power. We might as well use it. So I'll hook up all the wiring, all the solar panels, all that fun stuff. And obviously, what's funny about these is they actually do take power. But yeah, we'll get all this stuff hooked up to some heavy watt wire. We'll get the rest of the solar panels built here. We'll just probably put 5 of them in there for right now. And once we get to that point, we can start worrying about some other stuff. Actually, we need to make a metal refinery, and the metal refinery needs to take some coolant. So I'm trying to think of what we have available right now. We could use ethanol for this. It might not be the worst idea because we do have a lot of it. And I will be using the ethanol in our cooling setup, so it will eventually get cooled down. So let's do this. I'll put down 2 metal refineries. We'll hook up the ethanol line here in just a bit. Also for the rest of the glass, I should have just been dropping it in this tank of water because we already have it anyway. So I'm going to stop creating glass for the time being, and we'll send it somewhere else. And then this will be where we set up our cooling area, because this will eventually need to run through the cooling area anyway. So I'll get some ethanol, we will heat it up, and then we'll dump it into a spot right here so that we can start our cooling. So I will get on that, and I'll be back in a bit. Okay, I think we're ready to start up our metal refineries. I'll just start off by putting through some iron, because I'm a little bit nervous about this ethanol starting to boil if I get it too hot. So I guess we'll start off with some of this, and we'll see how it does. The ethanol that's coming in here is at 9 Celsius, roughly. It will warm up a little bit as it comes further in. It starts a lot lower than that, so like -30. But we'll see how it does. The output of this is just going to fall over into this tank. This tank will eventually be filled up with ethanol, and we will build the rest of our cooling setup on top of it, but I need to fill it with ethanol first. And I'd rather get the, heat I could get from the ethanol before we, dump it into this tank, because we can always cool it down. So, we've got that. My duplicants will get on this here in just a bit. Looks like they're going to get started now. I think. Maybe. There we go. So let's see what it comes out as. And that's the warmest it'll get, roughly, is about 9 or 10 degrees. You can see it's even lower as it comes further in, but let's see what it puts it out at. And that's just for the iron, so if it's anywhere nearby, then we'll be fine with the steel. Yeah... I'm a little nervous about this now. I don't know if the ethanol will be able to do its job like we expect. What's it come out at? Yeah, 43. I think it boils at like 78, so It's like a little more than halfway, but the amount of energy that's going in is not quite double. I don't know. This will be right on the border, but we'll see how well it works out and go from there. The ethanol distillers that we're going to have up here are also going to help fill this up. So this will eventually get filled up with, again, very hot ethanol. But as we make our steel, we'll make the aqua tuners, we'll make the rest of the setup so that we can cool it back down. These ethanol distillers are just going to take wood, so I augmented our shipping just a little bit up here so that if we detect wood on the line, which all the wood is being sent here, by the way, it'll just get intercepted by this, and it'll head up the line and eventually dropped off right next to these ethanol distillers. And this will also put out very hot, polluted dirt. So the hot, polluted dirt and anything else that might be hot in here that's created, I'm going to also run it through this same spot, which won't be helpful at first, but later on when we start cooling it, it will be. So that we're sending this stuff back down at a reasonable temperature. It's eventually going to fall down here and land in our big pile of stuff. So that is the plan, but we need steel first, so I'll give my duplicants a little bit of time to get this initial rounds of iron and steel going. Once those are done, I'll start putting in the aqua tuners and we'll get the rest of this setup built. Hopefully this will be about full by then too, and hopefully it also won't be too hot for us to just place some reservoirs in. Whoops. We need everything to be taken here except for dirt. Or rather wood. We need to keep the wood there. There we go. Alright. So now, these should be up and running. My duplicants will probably have to bring the first pieces of wood here because there's a whole bunch of them sitting on the ground. I have 151 tons of wood right now. A little much, I would say, but we can definitely distill that down and we'll get the polluted dirt out of it to continue feeding our sandy shells. Our food augmentations, by the way, are doing pretty well. I can't complain about this level of food, so it looks like we at least stabilized, but I don't want to get too confident yet because we're still overusing a lot of our resources to survive right now. Our phosphorite is honestly kind of maintaining, but I feel like I'm also mining a lot of it out, so it's hard to tell. So I think we're good on that front, though. So that ought to be fine. So, we'll let my duplicants work here for just a bit. I'll build out the rest of the setup. I'm also, actually, let me get the rest of this part all set up as well. So my duplicants can start going out here in their spacesuits, because we're going to start talking about harvesting these trees, finally. But we'll be there in just a bit after we get suits and ethanol and everything else up here. Okay, like I feared, the ethanol is not going to hold up with the steel. It just puts in too much heat, so I'll keep the iron going since we know we can afford that. But I will also need to get a different type of coolant for this. The two best coolants for pretty much anything is either polluted water or Nectar. The polluted water that I have right now, this area still is not entirely all cleaned out, so we're still waiting for these pumps to finish up down here. So this is probably, I mean, I could close this off and eventually use it, but I think we're just going to skip to a part that I've been waiting on for a long time. Once we get all of this area done, we're going to get up and start getting nectar out of these bonbon trees, and I'm going to use that for the coolant for creating steel. Then once we get enough of that created, we can store the nectar down here in some tanks, because that'll be what we run through our aqua tuners as well. And we will just run entirely off of nectar for cooling. So let's try to prioritize getting all of this stuff up here. We should have suits that are pretty much ready, but I'm still waiting on materials for pipes and stuff to get in ethanol and all that kind of thing. By the way, I don't remember if I've talked about it this run, but these double liquid locks, those are just going to be so that we don't exchange any temperature from here to here. So that is one of the better ways to both keep all of your gases in and not exchange temperatures between the two sides, as long as you can create a vacuum in the middle, which is what this gas pump is for. So, I will hook all that stuff up, and we will hopefully be ready to start getting some nectar soon. Okay, We've got our soup banks up. That means we can finally take the lid off of this biome out here and let the gases be free, because they are tired of being out here. So what we're going to do is we need to start harvesting nectar. And the way I'm going to do this is we already have a whole bunch of trees that are planted, and I have dug up to the point on most of them that if I dig any further, they'll start to just fall out, because there's all snow and crushed ice and stuff like that on top of them. So what I'm going to do is dig out everything except for the blocks that are holding up these particular trees. So I'll do something like this, and then I will build a pipe that will be capable of draining the nectar out of the tree. So it'll leave the tree here on this big tall pedestal, and then if any other trees fall from meteor showers, they should get planted on top of this mesh tile. This mesh tile is going to be useful because we will eventually be ranching a lot of spigot seals out here, and they'll be creating ethanol for us. So I will delete these ladders since we don't really need them here anymore. And if any other trees get planted, then that'll be some more progress. I could also potentially just leave these trees here. Since they're already matured, I don't see why not. So we might as well. My other thought with this... Oh, time to take another duplicate. Let's do that. Definitely looking at Ruby here. Yep, I think it's Ruby. Get in here. Alright, that puts us at 84. We are really getting up there. So, anyway, we're just going to take the top off of every one of these spots that has a tree and make sure to leave the tree there. So all of this stuff can go. I can get rid of all that, but these two things I want to keep. These big long spires where these trees already exist. And we will just use them for their nectar for the time being. The other thing we can do, I've been shipping myself all of these lumen quartz. We can use those to help these trees produce a little bit faster. And especially in spots where there's two of them right next to each other. So like right here, I should probably put some on these two spaces so that they illuminate those branches even when it's nighttime, considering it is right now. So that once it is daytime, the lumen quartz can make up for the time that they're not producing. So they're producing a little bit right now, but those quartz will definitely help. And it's not like they're doing anything else right now, so we might as well use it. So that's going to be the idea. I'll just kind of dig out here and set up all these trees the best I can without damaging any of the originals. And the original blocks that are holding these things up. So we'll wind up with a really weird biome for right now, but I do think it's the best way to transition towards having more trees down here naturally. And even, I'm just going to play around just leaving them there. I don't know if there's really harm in doing that. So that's going to be the plan. And yeah, we'll try that. The other thing that I needed to mention was, I don't know why I always forget how much carbon dioxide these things produce. So I encase them in their own little room with a gas pump below them that will pump out the carbon dioxide. But because we're going to be pumping so much more carbon dioxide, I figured we might as well add a couple more rooms of alveo vera to deal with that. And also just to get free oxygen from. So I'm going to throw down a couple more chambers that are exactly the same as the ones we've already been working with. And have a entry point for all this carbon dioxide. And we can just stay on it that way. We might as well, because this is actually very efficient in terms of resource usage. And because I have so many duplicants, dupe labor is not something that's hard to come by. So might as well take advantage of all those things, and this seems like one of the better ways to generate oxygen right now. Another thing to think about is I have a lot of oxalite just sitting here and not gassing off because my pressure is already fine. So I'm trying to decide how I want to do this. I don't want to have to spend a lot of power, but maybe that's not going to matter that much. What I was thinking of doing is something like this. For everywhere that is... Wait, where is this? Oh, it's right here. Oxalite sconce. For everywhere around here that's not claimed by a bin or something like that, I could just spread it all out like this so that it'll gas off faster. I guess that could be worth trying. Let's try something like this. This is probably super overkill, but why not do it overkill style? And see what we get. So, yeah, that'll be interesting. And we'll see how much more we can get to start coming out of these. As you just look back and everything's done. It's so funny. Let me hook up the rest of these carbon dioxide lines, like so, with my knee. Yeah, and I'll set up the rest of the things for the ice and the conveyor loaders, all that fun stuff. So I'll be taking the top off of the thing up here, and we'll start progressing in that. We also have enough ethanol to start thinking about closing this up. I'm going to let this probably fill up to about capacity, so we've got a little ways to go, about another 700 kilograms per tile, actually more like 600. Then once we have the nectar flowing from these trees, I'll come back and we'll talk about how we're going to store that, and then how we're going to set up the rest of our cooling setup, which I think will probably do it for this video. It's hard to keep track of exactly where we are time-wise, but it feels like we're about done with this one. So cooling setup for sure. Once that's done, I think we're going to call it good. Okay, we're coming back before we have all of our cooling stuff up, because it's just going to take longer than I expected to. So I don't think that we're going to get the entire cooling system up this time. We're going to have to do it next time, only because this video is probably going to be like an hour and plus long if we do that. And the 30-minute episodes are a lot better for how I'm releasing, and just to keep things fresh, and rather than having like a 5 or 6 day break between videos. Still keeping it down to like 2 or 3 and having stuff come out. So that's going to be the plan. All right, so what has happened is this area down here has been captured. I'm getting all the water refilled since it all is like spilling out the bottom from when it got dug out. So we're getting this refilled, and the setup for this is going to be putting out very hot salt water, and this is going to be putting out very cold polluted water. So the very cold polluted water will eventually flow through these pipes, be evaluated, and make sure that the very cold polluted water is warm enough for us to send it up and have it turned into regular water. The very hot salt water is going to wait until it's at least below 50 C before we send it up. Warm water is fine. We can deal with that on the back end. So that is how that setup is going to work. But we really need to take advantage of this first for creating steel. The big reason why this cooling setup is going to take so long to get is because we need to make a lot of steel, and we also need to make plastic, and both of which we're really not that close to having yet. So our setup for this is going to be the line for all of this hot polluted water is going to be, or rather cold polluted water is going to come in here. It'll get used as we create steel, and then we'll put it back out, and I think we could probably put it into our water systems. We probably should, because we're not really that full on water right now. We do have a lot of water flowing, so I'm not worried about it too much, but we will need to... I might need to toggle this on and off or something. This is weird. Maybe I should put this into a tank? I don't know. I'll have to figure this out, because this flow is really not optimal right now. There's little packets coming through instead of bigger ones, so... maybe I'll need to do that. Maybe we'll solve that in the next video. But the cold polluted water is going to come up here, and when it comes back out, we could probably just put it back on the line. In fact, we should probably just do that with this, right? Doesn't really make sense to have it wired up this way. I'm really like talking out loud as we're looking at this. So I will just put it back on the line. We'll refine it into regular water, so it'll eventually get into the network. And the polluted water is the best conductor of, well, not conductor, but the best like absorber of heat. So that's going to be my liquid of choice to create steel. I wanted to get nectar, but the nectar is just going to take too long for everything to get up. So we are getting at least a decent amount of nectar right now, but I need that for plastic. So for plastic, we're going to actually have a couple more metal refineries down here that we will use the nectar that comes in, and then we will eventually convert that nectar into plastic. I'm pretty sure we could run 2 trips of steel with the same nectar before it's going to risk boiling, because its overheat, or rather boiling temperature, is like 160. So I think we can get that in there, but I'm not 100% sure. If it starts becoming a problem, I'll go down to just 1. But I want to get as much out of the nectar as I can before we turn it into plastic, if I can help it. So let me get our plastic set up here. Polymer press, we're just going to go like that. And then our piping, this is the nectar pipe. It doesn't really look like it, but it's coming in here. The nectar pipe will just kind of come down and into this, but I kind of want to use the nectar for cooling some of this stuff too. So yeah, let's see. Let me try to just do something like this, and let's see how much we get from that. We'll see what we wind up with, because it's coming in at an extremely low temperature, -54. So that'll be good enough to, I think, handle 2 different trips through the metal refineries. So we'll get those hooked up like this, and then eventually it'll just get turned into plastic, because we need both steel and plastic to start finishing out the rest of our cooling setup. So yeah, big mess of pipes here. We will get that taken care of. The other thing that I need to mention is this produces a hilarious amount of carbon dioxide. I know we just talked about this, and we are so full on carbon dioxide that all of our exterior tanks that are just taking all the leftover stuff are entirely full. A lot of this is chlorine, to be fair, but I'm going to send it back through this system, and then we will have a whole new bank of saved up gases down here below, just in case any more carbon dioxide comes through, so that we can assure we're using as much carbon dioxide on these setups as possible. By the way, I messed up my automation last time, so I'm sure there was somebody that was watching that was like, ah, no! So, if I can convert all of this into oxygen, that would be great, because that's a very cheap way to create oxygen from what I can tell, as long as you have the dupe labor to push all of it, which I definitely do. So we might even add more of these depending on how much carbon dioxide is produced, but I don't know where all this is going to settle, provided that we have this many duplicants that are also consuming the oxygen and producing carbon dioxide. The oxalite is still building up a lot. So we have this all here trying to gas off, and it's still not. So what I'm going to do is start to send this out to a conveyor loader, and that is going to head up here and start snaking through our top area. I'm going to add a lot more duplicants to this top area, by the way. It'll kind of snake through, it should gas off, and it'll eventually fall onto this weight plate, which controls whether this conveyor chute is open or closed. So if it needs more, it will open it, and as soon as one drop falls down on here, it should close, all of it will start gassing off, and I can hopefully disconnect my connection up to the electrolyzers that we set up over here. So, this is a lot to say that I'm going to have to leave this video on a little bit of a cliffhanger, because there is so much happening, and it's not all adding up to like one nightly or nicely packaged build. So we will finish up our cooling in the next video, unless we really have to do something else, but I don't think so. So yeah, we're just going to fix up a couple of more systems here, get our gas recycled, see what we can peel off of there. Oh, we need to take another duplicant. Let's see, let's take our final one for this video. Liara, no thanks. Man, these are really not that great. I guess Harold? He's buff? Good at researching? I don't know. These are not the best, but okay, sure, Harold. Also, you might notice... Oh, here's the yearbook, by the way. Also, you might notice that the count of our duplicants is now at 91. And there's one more special duplicant that we haven't gotten yet. And I think the next video is also going to be the time where we knock on the door and get this special duplicant. So we will do that in the next video. Hopefully we'll leave enough to look forward to, and we will get that out there as soon as possible. So thank you very much for watching this one. I'll be back hopefully in the next couple of days with the next part.